Hello, everybody. Welcome to On the Homefront. My name is John Murphy. I welcome you to the program today here on WILI. You might be hearing us live on AM 1400 or digital 95.3 FM. Also, we're on YouTube. WILI has a whole channel on YouTube with all of the afternoon shows as an archive. So if you miss our live broadcast, you can always get our guests anytime, 24/7. Our show this week is very busy with 3 segments. There's a new play coming to the Bradley Playhouse called Nuts. We're also going to talk about Veggie Stock, which is coming up on June 3rd. But to kick off, I'm very happy to share the studio right now with David Foster. He's here to talk about the special Shaboo reunion coming up this Saturday, May 27th, at the Shaboo stage. David, you need no introduction, but thank you for being here today.
Well, John, it's always a pleasure to be with you.
It's always great, man. It's been a long time talking on the radio once in a while.
Well, it's like we're like old friends, man. It's just always great when we get a chance to be together, and I'd like to take a second and wish you a happy birthday on Saturday.
Oh, that's right. Thank you very much for embarrassing me.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Well, I'm not trying to embarrass you, but it's just, it's nice when we can clock one more year together. You know what I mean? They're all milestones now.
Yeah, I guess we're sharing the same calendar, too.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Here's to more to come.
That's right.
Now, this Saturday is a big day. It starts at 4 o'clock with the gates opening. 5 o'clock is a great award-winning polka band. How did you connect with these guys to have them open? How did that work out?
I've known these guys for a few years. I saw them play at the Mohegan Sun Casino, and they put on just a terrific show. Dennis Pileski's
The
Maestro's Men, and his Maestro Men. They were just fabulous, and they're very professional and very, very good entertainers, very good musicians and singers, and they're famous. I mean, they were Grammy nominated last year in the polka genre for a Grammy, and they're in the Hall of Fame all through the United States for their work.
The great Virginia Seretny, rest in peace, right?
Well,
the polka queen.
Virginia would just love this band. And, these boys were babies when Virginia was here. But there's a big Polish community here in Willimantic, and I've been wanting to do this for years. And I wanted to do it with these guys, and every year they just, please, David, can you put us on the show? And I ended up with Pure Prairie League and NRBQ, and I just didn't have any room left on those dates, that I do. And I just said, this year I had some room, and I said, you know what? I'm going to have Dennis come up and play, and we'll share the evening together. And, the plan is after he plays, and then when we go on and do our thing, at the end of the night, we're going to have a jam session, all of us.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Because they're very, very prolific musicians and players and singers.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll be fun to, we already have 6 horns, and they're horn players. Dennis is a horn player. It's sax, trumpet, and then the accordion, bass, and drums. Keyboards and drums.
Right.
And, it's a beautiful aggregation that they have, and they really know how to sing, play, entertain, and get it done. And they have a big, big following in New Britain and Amherst and in New London and all down on the coast where they love polka music as well. So we're expecting to see, probably, I'd say 1,000 to 2,000 polka fans.
I bet.
Yeah.
It's a huge community all around. And like anything, the best way to have music is live in your face, and the energy of a live band. I've seen live polka bands. It's amazing what happens.
That's true.
That's a good way to start the day.
And the weather's going to be perfect for that age group. It's not going to be too hot. It's going to be nice 75 degrees and dry, not humid. And they can dance right in front of that stage, and it'll be a major production there. I always do major productions when I use that stage. That's why I built it. But
that's right.
So they're going to sound big and fat and rich. And I do have a VDOS system coming, which is the greatest sound system known to man. Pretty much, it's so crystal clear. It's just the best. And the people that are coming to work with me this year are my friends and they do a lot of work at Madison Square Garden and a lot of work at the Barclays Center. So it'll be that same rig that plays there a lot. Will be here at Willimantic, and so I'm really looking forward to, all day. And I think it's a nice compliment musically, blues and polka music.
Oh, yeah.
Because
folk music.
Yeah, and also the way
Cultural folk music.
the way I look at polka music is like upside down blues, rhythmically. You know, in heaven there is no beer. That's why we drink it here. You know, there's so many similarities to it. So, and we can play that. We can play that too. So it's going to be fun. It'll be really fun to get those creative juices going. You know, with my crew and their crew, and just have just a good old fun time. You know. And I mean, look, the best part about it is we're raising money for the soup kitchen. You know, I mean, that's it. That's what it's all about. We I always try to come in and do something to help the soup kitchen, because that's constant. I mean, people are constantly hungry. You know, it doesn't go away. You know, you're hungry every 7 hours, every 8 hours.
Yeah.
It's got to be taken care of. And Willimantic's food kitchen here is feeding like 10 communities.
Oh yeah.
So last year we fed like 1.6 million meals.
We've had Bruce on the show many times. All of his Bread Box Folk series, all those shows benefit the soup kitchen too, just like you do, you guys together.
Yeah, and I've helped him immensely with that, decorating that theater and turning it into a musical theater, and so I mean it's just all good. You know, it takes a village.
It does. If people haven't been there, that sanctuary in St. Paul's, I saw Christine a few weeks ago when she was there with the band Rebel Montez, and the sound was awesome.
It's beautiful in there, isn't it? Yeah.
Just the acoustics, the high ceilings.
Yes.
You're really close to them.
And the intimacy is just brilliant. Yeah, I love it there. Yeah.
So everything begins at 4 when the gates open down at the Shabu stage of the park, and then the music begins about 5. There'll be a little break, and then the band comes on around 8 o'clock. There'll be food trucks there and all kinds of drinks, so you have food and drink.
Yeah, and Hosmer Mountain, they'll be bringing their soda. Yeah, it'll be nice. Yeah. And very reasonable, by the way. It's only a $20 at the gate fee.
Yeah.
Which is like half the price of what most of my reunions have been. Because this year I just said, I know it's kind of crazy time here with the economy and the inflation.
It is.
It's tight for folks, and I'm just trying to do the best I can to make every dollar count for everybody. Also, the money that they're going to contribute, it will go to the soup kitchen. So, again, when you raise money through music, everybody gets to be a part of it, that's what really feels good.
That's right. Because when you're all together and the weather's nice and you're all there in the air, something is in there that is intangible. Even during the COVID, when they had to use your cars in the park.
Remember that?
The drive-in
sure.
And it was incredibly electric there. You're in your car like to drive it, but there you are, the same thing.
Yeah, and they had a signal, their own FM signal, and they play the radio in their car. Yeah. And it was crystal clear. It was beautiful,
Now, something I want to talk about while I have David for a few more minutes is about music today, because the music industry is going through major changes, and if you follow it, then you already know. But if you don't follow it, you may just enjoy having all this free music on Spotify or Pandora that you don't have to pay for. But behind that scene, behind that rock, is a real tragedy of the economics of musicians today that people are still learning about. And as much as you can share the musician side, how this free streaming is convenient, and it is a way for people to learn about music, but it's not being right by the creators. You're leaving out the equation there.
Well, you're not rewarding the creativity, and that's why there's no late night television. There's no Saturday Night Live right now, because the writers are saying, look, you have to pay us. You have to pay us for our creativity. We can't live without the money. And when I came up as a musician, there was no such thing as this Spotify stuff. It was, you registered your music and you got a residual for it. If you own the record, you got paid for owning the record. If you were the writer, you got paid for the writing of the song. And there was no getting around it, and you had to have your publishing. But those were the things that attracted me to say, hey, you have a chance here if you can excel to actually make a living and take care of a family and raise children, send them to school, put clothes on their backs, have health care, put braces on their teeth if they need them, save so you can put them in college when they get to that age when they need to go to college. You can be a normal person, if you're paid for your creativity. And my girlfriend here that just played the stadium all weekend there, the beautiful girl, the young girl there, everybody fights over.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift, the Swifties. She's not taking any guff from anybody. She's going, look, you're paying me. She's a smart young woman, and the people, her fans, they don't mind because they love her music so much. They're supporting her, and she's not doing it because she's just doing it for the principle of it. That all writers need to be compensated for their creativity, and I miss watching Jimmy Fallon at 11:30, and I'm watching. Or Jimmy Kimmel, or the late night CBS, they're all dark, or they're reruns. It's like so it's like, I just hope the sooner they get that over with, the better. So that's the way I feel about it. It is nice that when I made my last record in 2015, on the blues charts, I hit #1 around the world on the Spotify charts and the blues rhythm and blues charts, but it wasn't from sales; it was from airplay. So it did get me out a little bit as far as people learning about me, in different countries all over the world. But when they tried to book me, they tried to book me for a festival. The Montreux people called me to play Montreux, and they offered me like $30,000 to go play Montreux, and I said, well, it's $50,000 just for the flights. For this aggregation to move, a 12-piece band, all the way to Europe and then put them up and busing and rent-a-cars and so what are we going to do? Do a one-nighter and then come home? So we'd lose money doing that for one night. Can you put a week of dates, around it? Oh no, we can just give you one date. Well, we can't come, so. I could never say yes to them. I couldn't go to Australia. They wanted me to come to Australia. They were offering me one night at a big festival, So it's sad, I feel bad because I really wanted to play those,
And there was a time when the record industry was more into investing and giving people time to grow.
That's right.
And they would support some of that with what is now A&R. It's extinct. People, A&R artists are repertoire.
Yeah, they figured take you three records to break, That was like normal things,
And then you put them on the road, let people get to see them.
Yeah.
And that equation is different now.
Linda Ronstadt took a few records to break her.
Yeah.
I remember that. Countless incredible, artists. Emmylou Harris, when she was a young up-and-comer, it took her a while. I remember I had her in the park here in Rec Park. Emmylou Harris here, many years ago. But so it's like, and I had her at the Shabu. So it was like, but now she's finally, getting her due, and I'm so happy for her. And now, if you want to see her now, she'll be in Fenway Park, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she deserves to be there because she's that great. But but anyways, that's the way of the music business. But I'm just so grateful that I've had to be to learn as much as I could learn in all the ways, by being a club owner, by being a singer, by being a band leader, by being a production company owner, a buyer, a seller. I've done every single facet of the business, so over a 60-year span of my life. So, I just feel like, so lucky, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm just so blessed and so grateful that I've had this life, It's like, you can't make this up, what I got to do, so I feel great.
Are you still working on that book? You still doing the editing on that book?
I had a ghostwriter. She ended up being the sports editor of the Current, so she had to stop a third of the way through the book.
Because that's an awesome story. When that gets together, that's going to be an awesome story. It'll come at the right time.
I hope so. Yeah. So now I'm looking for another ghostwriter that's good, and then because I just like spill it into a tape recorder, and I remember everything because I never drank, so I remember everything.
Yeah, there's a history.
I don't remember every single date, like what night they played, but I remember what happened when they did play.
Right.
And just moments that were they were so unbelievable.
Well, here's the question. Because you were in the right place at the right time when the music was changing, radio was more supportive, audiences were ready.
Yeah.
If somebody who was in their 20s today, starting out, in this environment today, what would your advice...
Go to a major city.
Pardon me? Go to a major city.
Go to a major city. Don't try to do it like where I did it. It's not going to happen for you here, because it took me 11 years, and we were the reason it worked for us is we were the people that started it. You know what I mean? So we didn't have anybody to teach us. We didn't have anything, and we didn't have any competition either, except Jimmy Koplik at the Coliseum. That was it. Maybe a little bit of Oakdale stuff in the old days, Ben with the Siegel family. But I mean, there really wasn't any competition for us. And then we were like years before Toads. So but now there's venues all over the place. So to be in a tertiary market like here now, if you really want to be a solid pro and choose this as your life, I think Atlanta or Nashville or Texas, El Paso, or Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York City, those are the spots. I mean, there's certain key spots. In Miami's big now. It's a big place musically. So there's certain key markets that Vegas is huge if you want to be in the music business. So that's what I would suggest for youngsters, to migrate and then get a job with a real formidable music company, and come up through the mailroom like that's the old. Remember, that was the saying. Yeah. You started in the mailroom.
So it's kind of like if people live in the tertiary or smaller markets, then what I hear from musicians is that they have to get out and play. They have to really get comfortable in front of people. They just can't do things in the studio. And the other thing is, fans need to come out and support a venue, buy some music.
Well, on a local level,
that's what I mean. Local, where
on
we
a
are
local
here.
level, it works. In other words, if you don't make your overhead too high, like what Bruce John does, he's learned a way to. I tease him now. I call him the hardest working man in show business. I mean, he's playing, so much, and he's actually earning a decent living, and he's sleeping in his own bed, and he has a following that love him and cherish him, and he does special things for people. He plays funerals. When they're sick, he goes and plays at their bedside. When they're I mean, he's just done so many great things to build his personal career. He's made it work. There's certain people that can do that. Christine Ullman, besides her Saturday Night Live anchor money, has been another one of those hard workers that would go play all of the Northeast and or go down south and get on the Muscle Shoals. So she'll go everywhere.
And she works with young women players to get young kids into music.
Yeah,
so she's working on many levels. Yeah.
She's very, very astute and hardworking, and she's a lion heart, and she always wants to help people. She's just there's a lot of good teachers right in my own band that have taught me. I try to learn, things from everybody that I play music with, instead of me being the center of attention. I don't like to I like to think of myself as the worst guy in the band instead of the best guy in the band, because that way you learn something.
So once again, it's going to be this Saturday, May 27th. The gates will open at 4. The music begins at 5 o'clock. With Dennis Polisky and the Maestro's Men. There'll be a little break at the D.A. Foster. David will come on at 8 with the Uptown Horns, Christine Ullman, and Jeff Pitchell. So thank you for taking some time to come by and for all the good work you do throughout the year. It's always great to have you.
John, it's so nice to be with you.
It's always great.
And my main man here, he's
the guy behind the scenes, Matthew Rupar.
I mean, if Matthew, he should be like doing my makeup. You know what I'm saying? And when I get to the motorhome before the show, it's just sort of like, hey, can you do anything with this?
Hey,
but Matthew can get him in here.
Give him a soldering iron. He'll be good.
That's and a hammer, I think. Yeah.
There you go.
He's great. All right.
All right. Well, look, we'll take a few minutes for a break and come back and talk about the Bradley Playhouse. They have a new play opening on June 1st called Nuts. Don't go away. Okay, we're back live for the second part of our program today for On the Homefront. We're very happy to have you with us. For the third part of the program, we're going to have people from Grow Wyndham and the Wyndham Community Food Network. They've got Veggie Stock coming up, the 5th annual Veggie Stock in early June. But today, right now, we're going to open with there's a new play opening at the Bradley Playhouse called Nuts on June 1st. I have to mention, too, that I had a chance to see Into the Woods last month, and it was a great show. I want to commend everybody. The band did an incredible job with music for almost 2 hours. It was a really good play. It was a lot of fun in a nice theater. And we're here to talk about Nuts. And we have the director, Bill Caraval, with us today, as well as the cast member, Brittany Kimlingen. Welcome to the program. It's good to have you folks in the studio.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So I know you're opening in a few days. That's why we're having you here today. Tell us about Nuts. 1981 play, famous on Broadway, a little history to it. A very intense drama involving courtroom stories.
Yes,
right?
Yeah, it's courtroom drama that basically deals with mental health and the court systems. 1979, I believe, Claudia Draper. It's based on a true story.
Okay.
Where Claudia Draper, a high-priced call girl, was violently attacked by one of her customers, and she defends herself. And she's put on trial. Well, she's put into a mental institution because her parents think she must be crazy. She couldn't have done this. There's no way my daughter would be doing that type of job and any of this. So they put her in an institution with the lawyers and the doctors to try to have her committed. She doesn't want to be committed. She wants to go to court. She wants to prove her case. And what the play is about is the hearing that takes place to see if she's competent or not.
Now, I understand, actually, it's called a play in 3 acts.
Yes.
Without giving away the storyline, can you say the 3 phases or the 3 pieces that are set up for the narrative?
We've kind of changed it a little bit. There was 3 acts, but we only have 2 acts.
Okay.
So we've kind of taken Act 1 and Act 2 and kind of scrunched it so we could have an intermission.
Okay.
We call that our Act 1.
Yes, our Act 1,
Sure.
and then our Act 2. I would say the way I always perceive the acts is the people on the witness stand. So Act 1 is pretty much the doctor. So it's about the doctor. You hear the doctor's side of why she needs to be committed. Then you hear Act 2 is the mom and dad of why she should be committed. Then you also find out there might have been some stuff in her childhood that I'm not going to...
Backstory.
Yes. You'll have to come see the play and see it. And then Act 3 is Claudia on the stage, on the stand. So you get to see everything up to her finally giving her testimony of why she thinks that she should not be committed.
Right.
It's intense. The actors, fantastic actors. Right now, we still got a little bit of work to do, but yes, we open next Friday. I can't wait.
June 1st.
June 1st? I thought it was the 2nd.
Could be June 2nd. I'll check.
Maybe. I might
Brittany,
be wrong.
So how do you fit into the storyline itself, Brittany?
I am the court recorder, so I have an authentic stenographer.
Oh,
Machine,
wow.
yep.
Yeah, machine, which is very cool. And so I'm a supporting role, and I'm on stage the whole time taking notes, and it's really fun to be a part of this cast. It's an honor, really, because the actors involved are incredible. And Bill's great as well, so I'm learning a lot just being a part of the show.
When do I have to pay you for something?
There you go.
You can pay me later.
Okay. All right.
You have to modify that union contract.
Yes, absolutely.
So one thing I love to ask directors is when you have your tabla rasa, can you tell us about your vision, how you set the stage visually or blocking things or use of lighting or sound or music to create the space?
I'm basically an organic director. I have a basic vision of what I want to see, and I may give the actors free rein to use the stage. I may say, you need to be over here, but as they start fleshing out the characters, that may shift a little bit. It may change. This show, I'm doing it as simple as possible. It's black curtains, chairs, and a couple tables, stenographer's machine, and that's it. I got a gobo, which before I came in, that's what I was doing. I was actually hanging my lights and stuff. I have to go back and finish. But I have a gobo with a jail cell. So when the audience sits down as pre-show, you look and you see a silhouette of a jail cell on the black curtain with just the pitchers of water and the furniture and stuff like that. I'm always of the mind, especially with a drama like this that's very well written, to let the actors drive the show. You don't need a big set. You don't need a lot of lighting. Keep it simple and let the story flesh out and let the actors drive that and give that information to the audience. I think for me, it has more impact just from the actor standpoint of giving that information than looking at a huge set and big flash and all this other stuff. So I try to keep things, I guess, simple.
Yeah, and this show has a lot of emotion, and there's a lot that builds in the characters. So I agree. I think it's perfect what we have.
Play coming out in the 80s, pre-AIDS, before things got very challenging with relationships. How does some of the stories speak to our relationships today? Because there's so much out there today in the media that's sometimes exploitive, frankly, but it's there about, how people are getting along and treating each other and their challenges out there. And you touch on a tragedy that was a human situation. So how does this touch on our space today, do you think?
I'll let you tackle that one.
Oh, lovely. Okay. Well, I think that the relationships in the show are they're relatable to what we're going through now.
That's what I was gonna say.
I know even, being in the show, there are certain dynamics, there are mother-daughter relationships, there are husband-wife relationships, there are all these familial relationships, stepfather, stepdaughter, and ultimately, everyone has their different wants and their goals, and it's really about Claudia being true to herself, and and sometimes that's difficult for family members to allow their daughter to do the things that they're doing. So I think that anyone who comes to see the show could relate to it on some level and see themselves in at least one of the characters, if not more than one.
Yeah, because I think of even, we'll say the 80s, which really wasn't that long ago.
No.
We have a tendency to put people in boxes. And that's exactly what happens in the show. Claudia's put in a box by mom and dad. This is where she should be. She's not where we think she should be. She's not in that box. So obviously she must be nuts. She must be crazy. There's something wrong. The doctor goes, well, if she's nuts, she's not following along on my other patients, so she has to be crazy because she's not following the procedures. She's very belligerent. She's very, what's the word to use? Negativistic. If I can say that properly. Yes. So he's got her in a box, but she's not in that box. Her defense attorney thinks she should be one way, and she's not playing the game the way he wants her to play. So it is about, putting people in those boxes and people breaking out of those boxes and being true to themselves.
Yeah.
And when you're in a legal process with real outcomes, there's no escape.
No.
Something will happen. There's pressure that never quits.
Exactly.
And she's fighting for her life.
Right.
She's fighting for her future.
Yeah. So let's talk about the craft a little bit, Brittany. Out of all the forms of art that you could have pursued, what drew you to the acting space, inhabiting a role, and the craft compared to other kinds of art?
Well, as a child, my grandmother really fostered that love of the arts and of acting. So she took me to shows all the time.
Oh,
and our
that's so
favorite
good.
theater was the Bradley.
Oh,
so I grew up going to a lot of shows there. And you know what I really loved about acting as a child? I felt like I had to be like the perfect child, And in acting, you could be all kinds of roles. I loved playing like the bad kid, because it was a chance to be on stage and act out parts of me that it wasn't really acceptable to act that way socially, and so I think that it's such a great expression of emotion and all the parts of you that maybe isn't the best way to portray yourself in the real world. So that's why I really enjoy it. And I think that acting, you tell stories, and there's a lot of I feel like you can reach people through a show or through a play, sometimes in a more impactful way than even having a conversation, because you're not necessarily telling someone how to feel or telling them that you're validating their emotions. They're actually seeing that, portrayed on the stage, and they
shared
can
experience.
share that. Yeah. So I just think it's a beautiful form of art.
Yeah, the thing I like about being in the audience is how you trigger things.
Yes.
Things, if you let yourself be open, things are triggered, and things that you leave with stay with you for a while.
Yeah. And that's what should happen.
Right.
Yes.
And that's a good question for you now as a director. Compared to other kinds of roles in the craft, what drew you to the craft of directing and trying to ride shotgun over many things at the same time?
I like telling people what to do.
Oh.
No.
I'll write that one down.
I actually started out as an actor. I actually started out in tech. I started out on the tech side, lights and sound.
Oh, excellent.
And then I got into stage managing and actually stage managing tech and then acting. Didn't really realize, always wanted to do it. Never really knew how or had the opportunity. And I auditioned for a play at the Bradley one day and I got cast and it's been ever since. But I remember sitting in an apartment and the Crucible script, and the Crucible,
Miller,
it's my favorite show.
It is.
And I started reading it. As I started reading it, I started picturing it, how everything be staged, how it should look. And I just kind of went, okay, I know the Bradley's looking for directors for this. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. And then they picked me, so then I really had to do it.
Be careful what you ask for.
But Brittany and I were just actually talking about this earlier, where I said I like directing a little bit more than acting because the director has the whole vision.
Yeah.
The whole idea of what the play should look like. As an actor, you just have your little part in that play.
Right.
So directing for me, starting out with a kernel of an idea of how it should be staged, what actors you should get. And I've been lucky enough that I was actually able to pick my actors for this show. To flesh it all out and get that vision out there is just, it's phenomenal. And if it's done right, it's nothing better.
And how many shows have you done after that one? That was a great start. I mean, talk about relevant to today. That story is really relevant today.
In any aspect.
There's a lot of witches being burned out there, let me tell you.
And I've done that show 4 times. I've directed it twice, and I played Hale twice. And at some point, I hope to play Danforth. But I think I stopped counting, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm bragging, and I'm talking about in any aspect. Whether I was building a set, running the light board, stage manager, director, was in it. I stopped counting at 125. And I have no clue what it is now. I just, before COVID, it kind of slowed down. And then obviously, but since COVID, it's just like I started branching out and I've been just getting other opportunities left and right. So I'm assuming at some point there's going to be a big number that's the end.
Well, no need
I'm really
to
old
Hopefully
at that point.
No need to rush. That could be just a state of mind.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, but I've been talking to Christy Lynn a long time, and there's so many great shows there. If you want to find out more, just go to thebradleyplayhouse.org. Thebradleyplayhouse.org. It has a schedule coming up later in the summertime in August. They've got a chorus line coming August 4th to the 13th. Nuts opens Friday, June 2nd, by the way. You're right on that, June 2nd, for several days, and you can get tickets right on the website. So, look, I want to thank you for coming down. I wish you a great success. I'll be out to see the play.
Thank you.
And we'll look forward to staying in touch with the folks at the Bradley as things move into the year.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Great. Thank you so much.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Okay, good luck to both
All
of
right,
you.
thank you.
Okay, a short break now, a little musical interlude, the Willimantic USA song, and then we'll come back and talk about veggie stock. Stay with us.
There's a place that's nearest to heaven, where the hills roll up to the sky, and the land is peaceful and lovely. It's where I want to live and die. I love the hills of my Connecticut. I love its valleys and its streams. I've got my loved ones in Connecticut, and they're always in my dreams. My heart is home among those friendly hills, and no matter where I roam, I love the hills of my Connecticut, Connecticut, my own.
Okay, hello folks. We're back here on the Homefront for the last part of the show today. Coming up on June 3rd, Saturday in Louder Park, just a couple of miles from where we sit right now, is the 5th annual Veggie Stock Celebration. It's a coordinated effort of many people involved with food and the food economy in our area. We have Sydney Clement sitting next to me. She's the coordinator of the Wyndham Community Food Network. I've had Sydney on several times over the years now.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Always a good story. And also with us today is Chelsea Cherrier. She is from Click. That's a cooperatively licensed community kitchen.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's run down the day first of all, then we'll get into some of the other things. But it starts at 10 o'clock on June 3rd.
Yeah.
What's the day going to be?
It'll be June 3rd, Saturday, 10 to 2 at Lauder Park, and it is our 5th annual food and garden festival called Veggie Stock. And so we will have about 30 different booths set up and giving out free plants to gardeners. We really want to promote the space down at Lauder Park. There's some beautiful community gardens. We have a new skate park down there.
Yes.
The beach will be open, and it's, I think, the hidden treasure of Willimantic. And so we want to bring everyone down.
Yeah. Are there any changes from last year in terms of any music that's going to be there or any of the vendors or people? Any kind of changes?
This year we're going to have I-98 doing a live broadcast, actually.
Oh, there you go.
as our
Sister
music.
radio station.
Yeah,
That's
they'll
great.
be DJing, which will be fun.
That's awesome.
We have more vendors. We just continue to grow every year.
No pun intended there.
Yeah, basically.
I had to do it.
Yeah. Chelsea can talk more about our food vendors, but we have a couple really cool ones coming out this year. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have 2 food vendors. Both are coming from Click. They're Click Kitchen members. We'll have Angeles Mexican food with traditional Mexican food, tamales, tacos, empanadas, and more. Be really delicious. And then we also have Chow LLC, and she's kind of elevated comfort food. Her buffalo arancinis were sold out at Third Thursday and Hop Fest, so I know that those will be available at Veggie Stock. And I also heard a rumor that she's making a grilled cheese with the world famous Katie Crop Farms Crambanero jelly. So another Click Kitchen member. So there'll be lots of Click representation in the food at Veggie Stock.
You know what we should do for a minute while we have some time? Click is so cool because it's an incubator for
Yes.
new startups, for people that might not otherwise ever have a shot because they can never afford a safe, legal, licensed kitchen,
Absolutely.
which is a fortune.
Yes.
But if you're a small business starting up, can you talk about the equation? That's how people begin, and then they grow from there.
Yeah, so we call ourselves a food business incubator. We help people start their food businesses from dream to reality, and we offer a membership that provides rental space in all of our kitchens and with all of our equipment at a really low cost. And we also help you through the health department process. We also help with market expansion, so we offer different opportunities for these food businesses to get out there and support them through that process. And the hope is that they get too big for us and then they move, somewhere right next to you on Main Street so that those businesses can then flourish in a brick and mortar as well.
Right. I mean, some of them end up on the shelves right there in the co-op.
Exactly.
That hot churrasco sauce is awesome. People go wild for that.
Yeah.
So anyway, Click is there. It's a startup. They also do programs throughout the year, training, safe serve training. They talk about health and wellness. They do all kinds of cultural celebrations as well. Just go to the website, clickwillimantic.org, I believe, and you'll find out a lot more about what they're doing. Talk about the Food Network now, because you're here off and on. You're doing work all year, and you have Grow Wyndham and the Wyndham Youth Corps just got a big grant.
Yeah.
A big grant. Talk about that good news.
So the Wyndham, I don't feel that I am capable to talk about all the wonderful things Grow Wyndham is doing.
Okay.
They're a partner in a lot of the work that we do, and the way the Wyndham Community Food Network works is kind of supporting and networking all of these awesome food organizations in our community. So the co-op, Click, Grow Wyndham are all members. And we really focus on kind of like gathering and redistributing resources in our community. So with like Veggie Stock, after Memorial Day plant sales, a lot of farmers or nurseries will kind of just compost all their leftover seedlings that they have. Instead, we go around and collect all of them and then redistribute them back to the community instead of wasting these plants.
That's right.
And then community members can grow their own food. And we ask, if you end up with like a bunch of cucumbers that you don't know what to do with, you can donate them back to us at our community fridge at Whitewater Park. And then again, we redistribute them back into the community to pantries, or sometimes we send them to Click and they'll make pickles out of it for us.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's all locally grown, so it's good for a period of time. It's not traveling to California on a truck. It's all
Yeah.
local, and it's sustainable that way too. It keeps it small.
Yeah. Really trying to minimize like the waste in our community and feed as many people as we can in the process.
Right, right. So are there ways people can connect to you if they want to get involved? What's the best way if they wanted to begin to partner up?
Yeah, you can send me an email at wyndhamfood@gmail.com. We also have our website, wyndhamfood.org. If you do /veggie stock, you'll find all of the information there. And we're on Facebook and Instagram at Wyndham Food.
What do you hear from our local farmers these days now? We're coming into the growing season. It's happening. There's lots of small farms. Maybe they're marginally successful, they're still struggling, but what do you hear from our local growers when we have restaurants trying to do farm to table to keep their food offerings local? People are trying to grow their own food. But what do you hear from any of the farmers that you talk to?
I would say that the biggest thing that Click is working on to support the farmers, because we heard from them, was creating a place of aggregation, or a place, single point for farmers to bring the food.
Like a farmer's market that you have?
Yeah, so Click would be that point of aggregation. So basically the farmers in the area would bring all their food, we would purchase it from them, and then we would redistribute to markets like the restaurants or institutions, or Wyndham Community Food Network has an incredible food assistance program called Community Table, and so we purchase currently from several farmers to then be distributed in those food box programs that Wyndham Community Food Network is doing. So Click is working to gather all the small, mid-sized farmers into one, so that they have enough quantities to provide for the community, because as one farm they don't have enough, but as many we can come together and provide for the community.
Yeah. You know, there was an article in the Current a few days ago about farming, and they were saying that the elder generation that's had farms, they're worried about continuity with young people taking over, and the loss of continuity. You know, like the Wyndham Youth Corps connects kids to food. The kind of things that you do with the network and like Veggie Stock, how are ways for kids to get connected to dirt and soil and away from screens and all these other media things, but into the earth to appreciate growing? And this is where kids' lives can change when they see these things.
Yeah, I can't hype up the Grow Wyndham Youth Corps program enough. They're focused mainly on high schoolers, and they provide them with jobs to pay them to work in the dirt, and hopefully they fall in love with it and then maybe pursue a career in agriculture after that.
Right.
I know this summer the Willimantic Public Library is doing a lot of youth programming, so for the younger kids, and they'll be taking field trips to, I know, Sweetacre Farm in Lebanon, the Lauder Park, and Click, and they'll get to kind of, I think at Click they're going to plant some actual stuff and then come back later in the season and kind of see how to harvest it, and then maybe how to cook it, and kind of see the whole life cycle of these plants. And hopefully it'll kind of sink in that food doesn't just magically appear on our grocery store shelves. Seeing it from seed to like fork is,
That's a great experience, because those early things set habits. It's like exposing kids to art at a young age. That's also life altering if they get something to trigger it, right?
Absolutely.
And bring them down to Veggie Stock to get plants for their own garden, and they can get real dirty.
So can you give us a preview based on what you know now? What kinds of plants will people have there? What people might be able to leave with?
Yeah.
Based on what you know now, what's coming that day?
We have a good amount of herb plants coming in. We've partnered with Spring Valley Farm, the Yukon Student Farm, and they've been helping us grow some of the seedlings that we have rescued, or some of the seeds that we're going to get thrown away into actual seedlings for this event. So there's tomatoes, there's peppers, sweet and hot. What else?
Cucumbers,
Cucumbers,
squash.
basil,
Wow.
yeah. lots of stuff. All of the garden classics staples.
Yeah. Now, we had you on the program a year and a half ago. Throughout the year, that park is busy. At certain times, the people are working all the time. Can you talk about that activity? This is a celebration of what happens all year there. And that's another activity for young people or people that want to get back into agriculture and food.
Yeah, so Veggie Stock is a one-off event of trying to get a bunch of people in there, and we kind of hope that you'll come down and see how beautiful these spaces are and get hooked. Grow Wyndham, the Youth Corps, they offer service days every Saturday morning from 9 to 12 where anyone can come work in their garden. And so you'll gain some skills, you'll get to give back to the community, because all of the food that they grow there goes back into pantries in our community as well to feed those in need.
Yeah. And also, Chelsea, what got you into working with food the way you do? With all the other things you could be doing with your energy, everybody has a trigger, something that says, I'm going to focus on this. And I'm always wondering what it was that gave you that focus for your energy.
Yeah, it started in nutrition. So I got my master's in nutrition in Oregon. I grew up in this area. I grew up in Mansfield. And I love cooking food. I love growing food. Food is a passion, and it brings us all together. So it started with nutrition, and then it just expanded from there. So just bringing, healthy food and access to good food to everyone in our community is all of our goals.
And one thing that I really admire about all the events you do, as long as with Click and Grow Wyndham, is its activity in our community that brings people together across lots of cultural lines. Not everything does that, but food, that's a human thing across the world, right?
Yes.
Can you talk about how it is? Because I've seen the events, the mix of different people from all over Central America, Mexico, different regions. They all have their own foods. Some of them travel very far to get real ingredients from home. But I guess what I'm trying to get to, without getting into political things, is how people are coming together to enjoy this, and that's a way to build unity when there's a lot of political pressure today. Does that come out to you at all when you see people in terms of their sense of feeling at home? There's a unity here that transcends differences, because a lot of people play on differences more than similarities.
Yeah, I think food brings us all together. Food is the vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so incredible to share these cultures as well. Like you said, there are differences, and so instead of having it divide us, food is a way to celebrate it and eat across the cultures and do cooking classes about the different kinds of food that we have. And
Yeah, I don't want to get too Pollyannish about it, but it's a real challenge today for people to connect. And by the way, we're doing this at the end of May with the school years winding down. This may not be relevant, but are there ways that teachers connect to you during the school year when they have first to sixth grades, early kids coming in? Is there any school activities that tie into your work at all?
Right now, the Wyndham Community Food Network does a lot of working with Eastern and Yukon. With the schools, like I said, Grow
At
Wyndham.
the college level.
Yeah, the college level, yeah.
Right.
With the younger schools, I Grow Wyndham and I think the public library are doing a lot of doing the education. The Youth Corps are doing a lot of the education with the younger kids. And even the high schoolers, yes, are working for the Youth Corps, but I know that they are also, they will host volunteer days for younger kids to come out and see.
Yeah. Click does a lot of work with homeschool groups. So we have a lot of homeschool days there once a month, and we do different cooking classes with them. But those are always offered sometimes during the weekend for kids or on vacations for kids that are in school and would like to participate in cooking.
Yeah. Homeschooling can be a huge challenge, and having those extra experiences really adds a lot.
They always fill up. We always have over 20 kids with ages 3 to 10. So it's pretty crazy.
So let's wrap up and give you folks some contact information to find out more things happening after Veggie Stock. Again, that's coming up on June 3rd, Saturday, right here, just about a mile from here, a mile and a half from 10 to 2 on Saturday, June 2nd at Louder Park. Sydney Clements, Chelsea Sherry. Let people know how to reach out to you and we'll be all set.
Yeah, visit wyndhamfood.org/veggiestock. You'll see all of the different kinds of events like tie-dye, plants, clothing swaps, skate park, yoga classes that we're having. Check it out. Also, there's an event on Facebook that just Veggie Stock at Wyndham Food. You can find it.
And for Click?
And for Click, you can reach me at chelsea@clickwillimantic.com if you have a specific question, or you can reach us at our website at Chelsea at clickwillimantic, and clickwillimantic.com is our website. We've just been supporting Veggie Stock by providing the food vendors. So if you have an event that you're looking for food vendors, reach out to us because we have over 30 food businesses, lots of catering, lots of food trucks, and lots of options.
Over